Let's say I have um, a bunch of documents that I'd like to upload. So here I have my Finder window, and I have this directory of a bunch of different documents. And these are documents of a number of different types. There's some PDFs, there's some Excel files, there's two PowerPoint presentations on there. And if I want to get them into my Google Docs installation, it's very easy to do. I can just head back to my Google Docs folder and click on Upload, and it will Google Docs will give me this dialog box. And if I click on Select Files to Upload, I can go to my Google Apps course, and this is my coffee files, and I'm just shift clicking all of these files. And I want you to think about these as being like files you might already have, but that you need to be able to use inside of Google Apps. I just sort of grabbed all these files off of the internet for the purpose of showing how this all works. And when I selected all those files and said upload, it gives me a list of the files and shows me the sizes. I have these two checkboxes down here where I'm allowed to convert documents, presentations, and spreadsheets, basically Excel, PowerPoint, and doc files, into their corresponding Google Docs format. I don't actually have to do that, and as I'll show you in a couple of minutes, there might be some good reasons why not to do that. And then I also have this other box, which is convert text from PDF or image files into Google Docs documents, which I'm not going to leave. I'm not going to actually check that because I want my PDFs to remain exactly as they are. So when I click Start Upload, it'll take a couple seconds to parse these files and upload them. And it's actually not taking even longer than I thought it would. So I think I will show you a little trick about how I actually found these files. If you just pull up a Google window, hopefully after I finish showing you this trick, actually I gotta, it will have finished uploading. Yep, we're making progress there. If I type in coffee and then file type equals XLS, this is a special search syntax that tells Google only to look for documents that are Excel files. And when I press this, it shows me, as a response, a bunch of different coffee related Excel files. So basically what I did was, I got on to find those files. I looked for PowerPoints and PDFs and Excel files. So little quick Google tip for you. So here we see that 6 out of the 7 files were uploaded successfully. It says coffee$.xls was not uploaded. We're sorry, a server error occurred. It actually turns out that Google was upset by this $sign for some reason. So if I wanted to upload that particular file, I would go back and remove the $sign, and then it would upload just fine. If I click on back to Google Docs and look at all items, I can actually see up here, up in the top of my file list, which is sorted by chronology, the 6 files that I just uploaded. And so if I click on one of them, this coffee tea file, I can see some data about coffee that has been converted from the Microsoft Excel format and into the Google Docs format. So when you are thinking about moving all of your files into the Google Apps cloud, you should one of the things you want to watch is exactly what kind of files you have, whether they can be converted, and how well the conversion goes. And we're going to look at a conversion that doesn't go terribly well in just a moment. But basically, that was a pretty easy way to get a whole bunch of files inside of Google Docs. And I think that, just a few more little tidbits of information. Inside of the Google Apps version of Google Docs, each user has 1 gigabyte of space that they can use to upload their files. Now, if you have a bunch of large Microsoft Office files, a lot of times converting those files into the Google Apps format will reduce the file size dramatically. So even if you have more than a gigabyte worth of files you want to upload, sometimes you can actually trim that by converting it. A gigabyte, interestingly, and this is just sort of a quirk that Google hasn't ironed out yet, a gigabyte is not a whole lot of information, a whole lot of space. I mean, it's more space for Office files than it is for video files, say, but it really isn't a lot of space. And even with the Premiere Edition, as it currently stands, you still only have a gigabyte of space for the docs for each user. Now, it turns out if you have a non-apps version of Google Docs, I'm going to make this window go away, and then I'm going to pull up my Safari window. This is actually the Google Apps, the Google Docs version I'm using for my personal Gmail account, which you can see by looking at, you can see michael.milton@gmail.com. I have a gigabyte by default here, but if I'm interested, I can click on Settings and go to Document Settings, and it says I'm currently using 1% of my gigabyte, and I can actually click on Upgrade Storage, and it has all of these options. So if I had a terabyte worth of PDFs that I wanted to have it stored inside of my Google Docs account, it would be easy for me to do that as long as I'm not using the apps version of Google Docs. If I go back to the apps version of Google Docs, you can see Michael Milton at coffeekooks.com, and then click on Document Settings. It doesn't give me that option under the storage blank to expand the amount of storage. I couldn't tell you why this is the case, and in fact, on the Google Apps blog, there's mention that they're going to upgrade the Google Docs storage options for Google Apps users, but as it stands right now, you've got a gigabyte to work with. And so that's what I wanted to say specifically in regards to using Google Docs as a file system and uploading batches of files. So now would be a good time for questions about that issue.
I see actually a good question that given the upgrade restrictions for apps, what are the space upgrade limits for Apps Premiere?
Well, what ends up happening when you upgrade to Apps Premiere is you get massively more email space, and I think you go from oh gosh, I don't have my notes in front of me, but I think you go from having a couple of gigabytes in the free version to having 25 gigabytes of email space per person, and that's the big storage upgrade that you get in Apps Premiere. That storage upgrade does not apply to Docs right now, but this is one of these things that we should fully expect to change, at any moment. And quite frankly, I haven't interacted with anybody yet who's used a gigabyte worth of space inside of Google Docs. So I think that it would be this would be a problem only for a special type of user.
And I have a question from Geoff. Can you use an FTP client with Google Doc? CyberDoc is one of them.
Yeah, I think that Google Apps Premiere has software that enables you to do that. I'm fairly confident that with the standard version, you can't use third-party software to upload documents like that. And I think there are actually a number of software providers that provide syncing. We mentioned this a little bit last week, that if you wanted to sync a local file share with the documents inside of your Google Docs account, I don't even want to call them files because they're not. They're sort of different. But if you wanted to sync, there's software for Google Apps Premiere's users to do that kind of stuff. One of the things that people have kind of griped about using Google Docs in this way is it's hard to preserve directory trees when you're moving a local file system into the Google Cloud. You saw what the dialogue that I just showed you wants you to select individual files rather than, say, a directory tree that would proceed recursively through the directory and grab all the files and then preserve the folder structure. And I think that there are actually third-party solutions to do that also, but This is you don't actually have to have your files in a folder inside of Google Docs, and that's one of the sort of areas of adjustment for people who are moving from a local file system to keeping their documents in the cloud. It's like, these documents that I just loaded are just in my Docs account. They're not in, my documents or something like that, the way you'd have on a local file system. So anyhow, my overall suggestion for people who are sort of dipping their toe into this is just play around with it and try to get a feel for how it would affect your workflow to have your documents up in the cloud like this, because it's different. It's different, although and it's very powerful.
I just have one last question that I'd like to ask, and that's if you have a shared doc with somebody else, does that count towards each user's limit?
I do not think so. That's a fantastic question, and I wish I'd thought it to look it up. But basically, I mean, you have when you create a document and then you share it with people, Google understands you to be the owner of that document, even if you have the same access permissions as somebody else. And so when you try to delete a document that you have shared with other people, it will ask you if you want to reassign ownership of that document or if you want to wipe it from the face of the earth. And I would bet a lot of money that the storage limitations were only counted against that you only documents that you owned counted against your storage quota. So was there one more question?
Yeah, question from GoToWebinar. Is there any difference between the PC format of the PDFs to that of the Google Doc PDFs?
Well, what ends up happening, and when you pull up, I'll actually just load one. This Coffee Bean direct file. If I click on that, I will see this is actually appears to be a Google document. This is actually a PDF viewer that is inside of Google Docs. And part of the premise behind PDF or portable document format is to enable you to have, whatever fonts you want to use or whatever graphics you want to use wrapped up in a file that can be read in the exact same way on multiple different platforms. So the answer to your question is your PDF should not be changed at all when you load it into Google Docs. It is indexed, so like I ought to be able to, like I can copy text here. So Google will read this text and index it so that I can search for it. And I have the ability to download this PDF to my computer again in exactly the same form in which I uploaded it previously. Actually, a friend of mine who's an academic got a big upgrade of storage on his personal Google Docs account and uploaded hundreds and hundreds of PDFs of journal articles simply because he wanted the search functionality that you get from managing PDFs inside of Google Docs. And so, yes, I mean, it's actually a very excellent way of making your PDFs portable and managing them without changing them.
Another question from GoToWebinar. Just as we can upload multiple files, can we also download multiple files to the local drive later?
Yep, absolutely. So what you do is I'll just show you how you do this. I'm putting a check mark next to a bunch of files, and if I click on more action, I can click on export, and it shows me each type of file and gives me options for downloading them any way that I want to. Which, I mean, it's actually pretty awesome. I mean, if I had a bunch of selected presentations, I can, pick whatever format. I can have it, reconverted back into PowerPoint or whatever. And when I click on download, it will zip the file on Google's side and give me a little zipped download file, which I can then unzip on my local computer and do whatever I want to with it. So yeah, it's pretty convenient.